So I went to see Avatar Fire and Ash in the movie theater. Generally speaking, I like these movies a lot. I know that they're not the most complex story. I'm aware that it's just Pocahontas with blue people. Okay, I know. I'm familiar with the criticisms. Lots of conversations around Indigenous people and conversation from Indigenous people. I have sought out those criticisms. I feel like my feelings about Avatar with the first, second, and third movies, not very complicated feelings. I'm not going to sit here and defend the fact that the second movie felt a lot like the third movie. I now understand that those movies, it was more like it was one movie and then it got split into two. So if you think of The Way of Water and Fire and Ash as kind of more of a part 1 and 2 of the same storyline, that part starts to make a little bit more sense. It's just the last movie, but bigger. The criticism that I have, and I guess, I don't know, there are a lot of things I really enjoy about this, like Una Chaplin's performance. Ow! Just gorgeous. We love, okay? We stan. You all here on Musing Moss might not know, as much at least, about the fact that I am a host of The Line, which is a secular humanist organization. We talk about atheism a lot. The criticism that I have for all of ye old Avatar movies is about Eywa. Now, I actually think that the entire concept of having a worldwide structure that shares information through a mycelial network, fascinating stuff. It's just taking what happens on Earth and making it bigger, making it more, as it were. I don't really have a problem necessarily with the idea of like information being stored or transferred, or there being a communications network that can grow complex enough that it functionally is like a neural network across the span of an entire planet. That stuff is interesting. What bothers me, and has bothered me since the first Avatar movie, perhaps I wasn't putting it quite into so many words until now, but in particular, so spoilers, duh. In the second movie, Jake Sully's son dies. His firstborn son dies at the end of the movie. And it's tragic. It feels terrible. Like you feel bad in the movie about it. And you should, because that's a terrible thing to happen to a family. It's awful, especially when one of the other children feels like it's their responsibility and they're dealing with like a colonial force that's threatening violence on them and stealing shit and like destroying their way of life. The circumstances of that are terrible, okay? And then you start the third movie with Loak and Neytiri having a little fly together inside Eywa, inside the trees. And then like there are several more deaths in the movie. Doesn't fucking matter who, because here's why it doesn't matter who dies in these movies. They have a real actual afterlife. It's not like, oh, I feel like they're going to go to heaven or whatever. It's literally a memory data upload, like Soma, where you have like Neytiri, his most recent contact with one of the spirit trees is an upload version of his consciousness. So he doesn't know how he died. He has to ask Loak, like, what happened? How I die? What happened? Why am I in Eywa now? From a storytelling standpoint, from a movie standpoint, this feels like nothing has stakes. Like there are no, like, in a way, it's like sad that person dies in the first place, but it kind of mollifies it. It's like, well, it's not so bad because not only are they at peace, but we can actively contact them within Eywa. Like we can have a fucking conversation. I feel like it, the way that it's portrayed at the end of The Way of Water almost makes it kind of better because they're like reliving a memory that they had experienced long ago. So it's if you are experiencing an echo of the person in the same way that I can experience an echo of a person by watching a video. Like my cat just passed away and I can look up pictures of him that I've taken and videos that I've taken. And so like an echo of him still exists and I can still get some kind of emotional satisfaction from interfacing with the memory of him. But I feel like it really takes the teeth out of like the stakes that are supposed to be present when death or annihilation are on the table for you to be able to, like, I literally can just go and take my little hair thingy and just like have a whole conversation with a person who is dead. And it's not like a facsimile. It seems like it's meant to be in the story. Like that is that person's essence, just the most recent time that they commune with Eywa. So from a storytelling standpoint, I struggle with this because it, I feel like the ultimate stakes in the Avatar universe is like, okay, obviously the ultimate stake is that all of the biology will be destroyed. This framework of, sorry, I'm shifting around in my chair so much. I'm not very comfortable today. We understand that Earth has died. There's no green there. That's what we're told anyway. We don't really get to see much of it. I think there were plans to show Earth in the original movie. It just got cut because there's a lot of other stuff fitting into this. So Earth is dying. They killed their mother, quote unquote. It's no longer livable for people. So not only have they been extracting resources from Pandora, but the plan is, as of the third movie, officially we are going to fully colonize this planet. We're going to just take everything that Earth was and put it on Pandora. And there's this whole, like the tech giants, like maybe there's not even a real functioning government anymore, and it's just basically anarcho-capitalism, which is bad. An interesting thing that I had not thought until just now, that the humans in the Avatar series are anarcho-capitalists. Fascinating. Anyway, so there's this existential threat for the Na'vi way of life and for like the plant life, the animals, like, right, we have, it's an environmental message. It's a Pocahontas, it's a Dancing with Wolves. We get it. Again, it's not very complicated on the environmental message. That part of the story is not the focus. I think the focus for James Cameron is just like the family dynamic within that framework and personal loss and personal sacrifice and all these kinds of things. So, yeah, from the movie standpoint, I guess the great risk is just of the loss of the way of life for the Na'vi, who have learned to live and adapt with their environment instead of attempting to master their environment. As an atheist, in a real world sense, the whole fact that you go into Eywa, your spirit exists. Sigourney Weaver's spirit exists within Eywa. Her daughter can contact her, can ask her for guidance. I guess it's sort of debatable whether that's actually, I don't know, you could debate, like, is that actually the person or is that just Eywa sending you a projection? I don't know, whatever. But taking it at face value in the movie, like, that is the person that you loved. So if we mirror this to real life, did you guys ever see memes, and like, trigger warning, about to talk about the like Sandy Hook massacre? Do you guys ever remember seeing any memes, or I don't know if memes is the right word, posts going around after school shootings, particularly those involving young children, where they're like narrativizing the children arriving in heaven? Because that's gross to me. As an atheist, I think it's a bad thing that people believe that there is an afterlife. Like, because here's what it does. It means it's not all bad that children died in an environment where they were supposed to feel safe. It's not that bad, because ultimately they're with God now. They're in heaven. They don't have any responsibilities. They get to remain pure, and we'll see them again someday. I, as a humanist and a materialist who believes that this is the only chance we get, I find this disgusting. And I truly do think that in terms of like the American psyche and American society in particular, just, I don't know that this is an issue in other countries so much, but like that part of our inaction around helping and changing anything, much less gun violence, is it's predicated on this feeling like, well, it's not that big of a deal anyway, because they're just going to go to heaven. That person dying, not a big deal. Like, I remember when I came out as an atheist, when I was a teenager, I came out as an atheist, and my aunt, we were like at an IHOP or something. She like took me out to lunch. I think she was trying to be helpful because my mom was abusive and she was trying to like be a presence for me. But she was like sobbing, telling me at age 12 or 13 that she needed to believe that she would see her dad again. And her dad had passed away when she was around, I guess, the age that I would have been at the time. Like, you are denying yourself closure in the real world where there is no Eywa. There is no physical, like, measurable place where people go after they die. As far as we have the evidence for, the mind or the soul or whatever you want to call it is just what happens when brains get complicated enough. Like your ability to perceive yourself, your ability to understand yourself within a larger framework. I think all of that, like that just is what it is, right? And when your brain stops working, when the electrical signals stop firing, that what you think of as you just goes away. And it's tragic and it's sad and it's horrible because there is nothing else. The ending of a life is a tragedy because there is nothing else. That's the end of their potential. That's the end of their hopes and their dreams. It is, in actuality, the last time you will ever interact with the person. It's hard for me as a moviegoer to feel like there aren't real stakes. And then also for that to be like, I see that as a bad thing in society. Like, obviously, there's a warm, squishy feeling that I get where I'm like, they are within Eywa now. Like that they passed through the eye or whatever and they get to like exist. I think like in the entire series, the saddest thing that happens, aside from like humans dying, obviously like humans dying has a finality to it. One of the saddest and things with the most gravity in the entire Avatar universe happened in the first movie. I guess it depends on how you construe this whole Eywa thing and like how it works. After Neytiri and Jake hook up the first time and they've just connected with the tree of voices where they were able to hear the voices of the people who had passed on, and then that forest gets like bulldozed. If we are to understand that like certain amounts of data are localized, so like could you tap into Eywa at the original soul tree in the first movie and connect with Neteyam, who was buried at a different soul tree? Like, is it all interconnected or is it myopic? If it's all interconnected, then again, there's no fucking stakes. But if we are to understand that like that particular grove of trees where Neytiri and Jake consummated their betrothal or their relationship, if we are to understand that when the people get uploaded, especially those who have died, that they are stored locally in these certain areas, then the destruction of those trees was the destruction of souls, like the destruction of everything that remains of the data of those Na'vi who had been there. Like, genuinely, I think that that is the most sad and tragic thing that happens in the whole series. So again, like that is like the ultimate tragedy if the humans win the fight on Pandora, is that all memory of all Na'vi is going to be gone because Eywa will be destroyed and like all the connections and all of the stored data will be destroyed, or at least driven underground into a mycelial network. Like, but if the data exists physically inside the trees, then yes, some amount of that data is going to be lost permanently. So like, in my mind, that one little scene in the first movie, I mean, it's a big deal in the movie. It's a big deal in the scene. But that it is truly like the most tragic thing that can happen in a world where, oh, well, we can still see them. You know, let me just hook up to let me plug in and just, I'm going to go talk to grandma now. Like, why does Neytiri get so upset about her father dying if she can just go, Nyep, and there you can just talk to him? Like, I just find it really frustrating. If you have any thoughts, please let me know. I'm really curious to see if other people feel the same way as I do, particularly those who share my spiritual beliefs or lack thereof. Like, of course, it feels good for death to be, it's like not a big deal if everything's fine in the end. But I truly do think as people that this destroys our ability to actually cope with death. There is a reason why I have objects of death near me at all times. This is a bobcat skull. Right up here, this is a little spell bottle that I made that has some remains from my cat Lucy in it. And like those over there are tails. They're a couple fox tails and one bobcat tail. It's important to me. Oh, this still says December. I need to change that. It's January. Those, like, it's important to me to commune with death, to treat death like it has gravitas, like it is the end of a story. Like it just is. And I'm sorry that that's sad, but like you should be sad. There should be no part of death. Well, okay, I think that it's okay if you're like dealing with death and you're like, they lived a good life. They accomplished all these goals and they were a wonderful person and they did all this. Like, to celebrate someone's life, I think is okay. But for you to inside your brain be like, it really isn't that bad because I'll see them again, or it's really not that bad because they're in heaven, or, I mean, I don't really even want to talk about a belief in hell in this context because that's, I don't know, it's just like a can of worms that I don't want to get into. But truly, like, we should understand death as final and almost universally tragic, perhaps necessary for an ecosystem. Like, that's another reason why I commune with death so much, is because I'm like, this is a necessary part of an ecosystem for us to be good stewards of our planet. Like, even the Na'vi, they're not vegetarian. They hunt and kill and eat animals. They just do it with a sense of reverence, a sense of respect, and an understanding that when they die, they have to return to that cycle, and become part of the world again. And like, you know, the whole fucking, from the Lion King, like, you know, we eat the antelope, but when we die, our bodies go into the grass, which feeds the antelope. Like, it is a cycle that we should have respect and reverence for, and that we shouldn't go like, well, let me invent a reason why it's not so bad really, because fake things, right? I feel like it's, if you're like, I respect death and I don't feel as bad about it because it's part of a natural cycle that we can observe and we take part in, that's one thing. But if you're like, he's in heaven now, I'm like, I'm sorry, but that delusion is not helping you. You just remind me of my aunt, who again was in her 30s or 40s or something, crying to me, a teenager, about how she needed to believe she would see her father again. Like, it's maladaptive and I struggle with it. So I wish, like, maybe I would like to see some real consequences for Eywa in the future movies. Because, okay, so here's something that really bothered me about, this is full spoilers for the end of Fire and Ash. So there's this underwater spirit tree, kind of like there was the one above ground in that big weird circle arches mountain area in the Hallelujah Mountains in the first movie. Like, the big firefight happens because they're about to drop a big amount of explosives on that soul tree. So there's another one of those spirit trees, like a central node of this confluence of magnetic energy, just like the Hallelujah Mountains, but it's underwater because we're now Metcaina, we're now part of the spirit people, or sorry, part of the ocean people now. There is a point during the big fight where a missile or a torpedo or whatever you call it when it's under the water hits the spirit tree of Eywa, and it flickers and turns off. And legitimately, I was sat next to my partner in the movie theater and I went, like, I was, for a full couple minutes, I was like, oh my God, because that would be real stakes. That would be real stakes. Do you know why I'm mad about it? Do you know why I'm mad about it? Is because for no discernible reason, about 5 minutes later, it just flickers back on, like it's coming back on after a power outage. And then there's just, okay, the spirit tree is there. And then all the animals from Eywa do a repeat of the ending of the first movie. And they're like, ah, rah, 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 you know, like, oh my God. But like, that would have been, okay, you set up a thing where there's stakes, Jim. Like, if one of those soul trees actually gets destroyed, and that wasn't even the point, like the point of them being there wasn't to destroy the soul tree. The point of them being there was to just like kill a bunch of whales. Classic Star Trek 4 moment, nuclear vessels. So I want to see in the future what the actual consequences are for a significant part of Eywa, of the global network, to be destroyed. Destroyed. Actually destroyed. Like, I want to understand. I want to see the flickering memory of loved ones long since passed erased. I want to see them gone. I want to see that it doesn't recover. And maybe we'll get some more exploration with that with Fire and Ash. Or sorry, not with Fire and Ash, with parts 4 or 5. Because in Fire and Ash, we did have this discussion around like the Mangquan clan and them having been subject to a volcanic eruption, and they seem to live within a tree like home tree in the first movie that gets destroyed, but I don't necessarily know if that is like their soul tree has gone away, because there doesn't really seem to be a magnetic confluence or anything happening. Like, he's able to bring the guns to the Mangquan clan and they just kind of like are fine. Obviously the landscape is devastated and hasn't recovered from the volcanic eruption, but like, I want to know what happens. Like, I want there to be real stakes. I want there to be real consequences. Because at the present, it's like, yeah, Jake and Neytiri lost their son, but they can go talk to him anytime. And yes, he's not going to grow or change within Eywa. I mean, I would be curious to see, does he remember any conversation? Like, you know, Loak tells him, you died because you got shot. Like, do people remember things? Like, when you talk to your ancestors in the tree, do they remember the conversations that you've had? Can they grow and change? Can Grace, Sigourney Weaver, inside of Eywa, is she still able to study the mycelial connections? Is she coming to a greater understanding of the physical science behind it? Like, can she ever grow or change? And when we destroy this crop of trees, is that actually a bunch of actual uploaded data of the ancestors being destroyed? I just want to feel like there's some real loss, like some actual tangible, permanent loss, that we're not just like, well, it'll be fine. It'll be fine later. Come on. So anyway, I really love these movies and I really look forward to seeing them. I'm even thinking about going and watching Fire and Ash a second time in theaters, because it's going to be like 6 months before it's on streaming and I don't want to wait that long. It's so fascinating. And it was really cool to see it in 3D. I haven't seen any of the previous movies in 3D. My husband watched the first one in 3D and he went back and saw it a second time because it was so groundbreaking. And like, yeah, I get it. Like, the technology is super cool. That's part of why I like this so much. Like, how did we make the story come to life? You know, the differences in the technology between the first movie and the second and third, fascinating, very cool to look at, very cool to think about. Overall, like, I love these movies and I will watch them over and over and over again because I'm getting something out of it. But this one aspect in particular, obviously I take a lot of umbrage with. And yeah, so anyway, I was sipping out of my mug earlier. This is my mug at luxander-shop.fourthwall.com. If you want to get some merchandise, this is mostly representative of my main channel. But hey, this is Musing Moss. And I also have a patreon.com/luxander. If you're interested, please, 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 please tell me your thoughts down below. Tell me what you thought of the movie in general, what you think about Eywa. Were you also kind of annoyed and upset that Eywa had a face in Fire and Ash? I honestly agree with what some other people have said, which is that it's likely that Eywa was just projecting something that Kiri would understand as like an embodiment of Eywa. What do you think about the idea that Eywa can make choices? Like, is she an entity or is she just like the conglomeration of all of the uploaded data from the Na'vi in years past? Yeah, I'm really curious to hear other people's thoughts. And I'm sorry for complaining so much. Happy New Year. It's time to complain. This is the first video I'm uploading on this channel in a while that isn't a mirror from what I watched last year. I've still got a couple more of those coming out over the next few weeks. If there's anything that you want to hear my opinion about, please let me know in the comments. Drop your recommendations. I have a big long list of movies and TV shows that I need to watch for this channel. So yeah, any thoughts are welcome. I love you. and like and subscribe and do all the YouTube things. The longer your comment is, the more YouTube enjoys that for their metrics. So, yeah. Thanks, everybody. I'll talk to you again soon. Bye. Happy New Year, and thank you so much to my patrons, especially Tiago Nascimento, Mersh Rolvag, Untitled One, Pinky Bimbo, In a Box, Sarah A., Amanda B., Michelle Winter, Athiette, Nova, Danielle McDonald, Kevin Young, Suzanne Maynard, Liam Hodgson, Jamie Jam, Michelle Frateroli, Logan, Celeste, Mr. Atheist, Wellington Marcus, Desi Quiche, Nadia Yvette Chambers, Ing Marie, Ali T., Kawhi Esquire, Bo E., Art, Neurospiky, JT, and Solomon Kane.